How's it rockin', Dween Nation? This is the Dween Sports Podcast. We're about to get underway. But before we do, we'd love if you could like, comment, subscribe, or share. We are posting weekly sports content, and we want to build up the brand that is Dween Sports. Thank you all, and enjoy.
Welcome in, Dween Nation. This is your host, Justin Paez, and here is my final March Madness predictions heading into the tournament, which starts Thursday around 11 a.m. Central Time. So make sure you're getting your brackets in. If you're interested in joining the Dween Sports bracket, just type in March Madness presented by Dween Sports, and you can join in. $5 entry, but we'll see. That'd be fun to get more and more people into it. But let's dive into the bracket. This is the final predictions I'm going to make, and I'm fairly confident with all that I got rolling out here over the last few days. I've been making brackets, been watching videos, putting all the research and things I've learned throughout the season, and this is what is going to play out over the next few weeks. So let's start in the South region with Auburn versus either Alabama State or St. Francis, PA. Both of these two teams are bid stealers, but give me Alabama State over St. Francis, PA, and then I'll go with Auburn over that 16 seed. Louisville and Creighton. Louisville is a team that probably should not be a 8 seed. They really started turning it on later in the last week in the ACC tournament. Makes me want to go with Louisville here over Creighton. Michigan and UC San Diego. Michigan as well has been a very hot team as of late, but UC San Diego is by far the best 12 seed we have in this tournament. Give me them to upset the Wolverines in the first round. Then we got Texas A&M and Yale. This game right here is a tough one because A&M, what they've struggled with the most is allowing shooters to shoot, and Yale has a really strong shooter. It makes me want to go. Gosh, that makes it tough because A&M's defense and offensive rebounding can be special, and the only way Yale wins is if their top guy can put up 6, 7, 8 threes. Mr. John Polakidis. I'm going to go with the Aggies though to move on, and that's a game right there where I can understand you going 13/4. Yale is playing really good basketball this season. Ole Miss versus either San Diego State or UNC. I'm going to go with Ole Miss over either team. I do think San Diego State is the better team over North Carolina, and they will move on. Then we got Iowa State and Lipscomb. Give me the Cyclones. I know they're missing Keyshawn Gilbert for the entire March Madness tournament, so that's a big hurting on this team. He's their second best player, and so if you are wanting something spicy, I could see you going there, but I think Iowa State's going to be just fine getting through the first round without Keyshawn Gilbert. Then we move to Marquette in New Mexico, where we're going to get Marquette, Cam Jones-led team, to move to the next round. They're a team that at one point in the season, probably a month and a half ago, was rated as a 2 seed. They have fallen down the ticker, but I think that they're a good team, and they're going to win this first round matchup. Then we got Michigan State and Bryant. Give me Sparty to move on to the next round. And then we're gonna go first round all the way around, and then keep getting closer and closer. Then we got Duke versus either American or Mount St. Mary's. I think American will beat Mount St. Mary's, but Duke will clear that out and win there. Mississippi State and Baylor. This is a tough one because I think both teams are off and on playing their best basketball. Neither of them have been playing their best basketball as of late. This is a tough one. I'm going to go with Mississippi State, though, to move on to the next round. Then we got Oregon and Liberty. Give me Oregon over Liberty. I don't think Liberty's too great of a team. Then we got Arizona and Akron. This one is tough. They're two very strong offensive teams. Which one is going to pull it out to make it to the next round? I'm going to rely on the big three in Arizona to get them the victory here. Give me Arizona, the Wildcats. Then we got BYU and VCU. This is a tough one, a really tough game because I love both teams here. Both teams are hot, but give me BYU over VCU. If VCU literally was playing any other 6 seed, I would pick them. But BYU is playing better than most teams in the country. Then we got Wisconsin and Montana. Give me Wisconsin. They won. They beat Michigan State to go to the Big Ten championship, to go to the Big Ten championship. And then they weren't very good against Michigan in that final. But I do think over Montana, it's an easy victory there. Then we got St. Mary's and Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt's going to win this one here. St. Mary's was just exposed in their tournament by Gonzaga. And I think Vanderbilt playing in the SEC is going to get them enough to get over this team and to move on to play another SEC team in Alabama who will beat Robert Morris. Now let's move down the line to the Western region where I'm going to go with Florida over Norfolk State, UConn or Oklahoma. Give me the Huskies. I'll give them, since they had the pedigree of winning two straight championships. They get it over Oklahoma here. Memphis and Colorado State. Colorado State is a very hot team right now. They're a bid stealer. They weren't supposed to win their conference, but they did, and I'm going to go with them over Memphis. Memphis loves to play in close games, so it's going to be a close game, I think, regardless. But Colorado State will get it at there. Then we got Maryland over Grand Canyon. Give me Maryland. I love Maryland. If they didn't draw Florida, I really think they're capable of beating any other one seed because I really like Maryland in this tournament. Then we got Missouri and Drake. Give me Missouri. I know they haven't been playing their best basketball as of late, but they're really great shooting team that can score a lot of points. And about a month ago, they were just as good as almost anybody in the SEC besides, Florida and Auburn. Then we got Texas Tech and UNC Wilmington. Give me the Red Raiders. I love them in this tournament. It's easy first matchup to move on to the next round. Then we got Kansas and Arkansas. This is tough. So obviously Arkansas, first year with John Calipari, they were, most of the season they really weren't an exciting team, but they really started turning it on a bit as of the last, month, when their backs were against the wall and they needed to make their tournament. But also Kansas is a team that really hasn't been playing that great either. Like they've been back and forth, but they have a lot of really strong seniors that make me think that, with the experience that they have, that it will be enough for them to win a game. And I'm going to go with Kansas. The Jayhawks move on. Then we got St. John's and Omaha. Give me St. John's. Then we move over here to Houston and SIU Edwardsville. Give me the Cougars. Gonzaga, the Bulldog on Bulldog matchup. Give me Gonzaga. I hate that they were placed here because they're better than an 8 seed. They won their tournament too, and they didn't move up anywhere. So kind of strange, but Gonzaga here is going to get this victory over Georgia. Then we got Clemson and McNeese. I don't love the McNeese team. I love their manager, Mr. Ora himself, but I think that Clemson is playing really good basketball, one of the few teams to beat Duke this year. Give me Clemson. Purdue and High Point. Purdue, man, a team that just doesn't excite me at all. High Point, a team that can score the breaks off of you. Give me High Point over Purdue. Then we got Illinois and either Texas or Xavier. I think Texas is going to win that matchup for the 11 seed, but I think that even that they're going to beat Illinois and move on to the round 2. And Illinois, man, they're a team that they were really bad at one point of this year. They started getting better over the last few weeks, but then they had an ugly loss, and I think that it's going to be Texas or Xavier. Give me Texas. Kentucky and Troy, I don't see upset alert around here. Give me Kentucky. Then we got UCLA and Utah State. I really don't love either team. I feel like these are like the worst two 7 seeds and worst 7 seed and worst 10 seed, in my opinion. But give me the Bruins to win there, and then give me Tennessee over Wofford. Now we're going to jump back all the way to the top with Auburn or Louisville. Give me Auburn. Yeah, that's an easy pick there. I think that Auburn, as much as they haven't been playing great, they got a really strong road or easy road to the Sweet 16. Then we got UC San Diego and Texas A&M. This is a tough one here because UC San Diego in their first year, I'm going to have to go with UC San Diego to beat the Aggies and move on to face Auburn in the next round. Then we got Ole Miss and Iowa State. This is tough because Iowa State, will, as I've mentioned earlier, won't have Keyshawn Gilbert. But Ole Miss is a team that's been really streaky. I'm going to go with the Cyclones to move on there. Then Marquette and Michigan State. Give me Michigan State. They're not the best shooting team. But I think obviously Tom Izzo is one of the best coaches we've ever seen. So give me Michigan State to move on there. Then we got Duke and Mississippi State. Easy Duke there. Oregon and Arizona. Give me Arizona. BYU and Wisconsin. I think this is where we get an upset here. Give me BYU to continue through with their massive scoring outputs over Wisconsin. Vanderbilt and Alabama. This is a tough one here because we've seen Vanderbilt have big performances. They beat Tennessee, they beat Kentucky, they beat Texas A&M, but that was really not. That was a little while ago. We haven't seen a strong Vanderbilt team in a while, so give me Alabama to move on there. And we move down here to Florida and UConn. Easy Florida. I love Florida in this tournament. Give me Maryland to beat Colorado State, Texas Tech over Missouri, and St. John's over Kansas. Then we over here we got the Cougars and the Bulldogs. Give me Houston to move on there, and then give me Clemson over High Point to move to the Sweet 16. Texas and Xavier, I'm assuming it's Texas, but either way, I'm gonna go with Kentucky over them. I think Kentucky. I don't think they're a strong 3 seed, but their draw is really favorable to get them to the Sweet 16. So give me Kentucky there, and Tennessee as well. Got a favorable setup to set up a matchup that's really interesting because Kentucky and Tennessee they played twice this year, and Kentucky has won both of those contests. So we'll see how that turns out when we jump back down there. But let's go up here to the top. Auburn and UC San Diego. This is where UC San Diego's run ends. Give me Auburn to move on there. Iowa State and Michigan State. What makes this tough is that Michigan State's not a great shooting team. They're pretty deep. This is a tough one because Iowa State, the fact that Iowa State doesn't have Keyshawn Gilbert will make me go with Michigan State here over the Cyclones. BYU and Alabama, or I'll go with Duke here for sure. BYU and Alabama, give me BYU to continue to roll and move on to the Elite Eight. This is fun. Then we got Florida and Maryland. Give me Florida. Literally place Maryland right here or right here. I'm going Maryland, but unfortunately, Florida is the team to beat in this tournament, in my opinion. So give me Florida. Texas Tech and St. John's. Give me the Red Raiders. I know St. John's they've had a good run. They have a great coach, but their shooting on the team is not stellar at all. In fact, it's one of the worst in the country. Which PSA real quick, if you're curious and you think, oh, which teams that are high could be risky, there's 3 teams that really struggle shooting the ball. That is Texas A&M, that is St. John's, and that is Michigan State. So if they go up against a team that is lights out shooting the ball, that might be a cause for concern, and that's what we see here with Texas Tech over St. John's. And then we got the Cougars versus the Clemson Tigers. Give me Clemson to knock off the first 1 seed. I think Houston's got a really tough draw versus Gonzaga here. Like, they could very much lose this game against Gonzaga. And then Clemson, I think, is a really strong team. I know they're not in the strongest conference, but they've been able to go head-to-head with Duke. And they just looked really strong this year. So give me Clemson over Houston. And then Kentucky or Tennessee. This is tough here because Kentucky has won the 2 matchups against Tennessee. Kentucky has won the 2 matchups against Tennessee, but I think Tennessee will get the better of them this time and win to move on to the Elite Eight. Then we got Auburn and Michigan State. Give me Auburn. Duke and BYU. BYU's run ends here. Give me Duke. And then we got Florida, Texas Tech. Give me Florida. And then Clemson or Tennessee is a tough one here. The way I've been booking Clemson, you would think that they'd be moving on for sure. But it's close. I mean, it's really close. I'm going to have to go with Tennessee, though, to move on here to get us a Final Four of Auburn, Florida, and Duke, Tennessee, where I will go Florida and Duke, and their champion will be Florida in San Antonio on April 7th. I know I went with them in my last video, my instant reactions to the bracket, but Florida is just, they have no holes as a team. They have no holes. They're playing their best basketball, and you just can't pick against it. I mean, when you have the backcourt of Clayton and Richard, then you got a front court with Alex Condon. It's a lot, and I think for a team to knock them down, it's going to be really tough. Like Florida and Auburn, even they played earlier this year, and Florida dominated them in Auburn. So I think that Florida is just a team, barring any injuries, they're going to make it far. And the only team that I'm really worried about, like weirdly enough, is Maryland here because they have a really strong unit as well. The Crab Five, as they're being touted as. But I think just Florida's going to be too good in this tournament. They're going to knock off the defending champs. They're going to knock off one of my favorite teams in the tournament. And then they're going to move on to beat Duke and Auburn to win themselves the title. And I think this one, Although it is, I believe, the second highest favored team to win it, I think you got to go for it. I mean, most, I believe, over, I don't know, 60% of teams are one seeds to win the championship. So you need to pick a high seed to win it. If you want to throw in some solid um, upsets, I really like UC San Diego. If you want to go for Yale, go for it. I didn't pick them. I have, A&M's close to my heart, but Yale would be a team to pick an upset for. VCU is a great spot. I know I picked BYU to run. I think, honestly, whichever team you want to pick from here, I think they have more than enough to beat Wisconsin and Alabama. So I think one of these two teams can go on a big run. As for the bottom of the bracket, I really don't love Memphis. If they win this game, it's going to be like 75-73, and that's all their games are going to be that way. So that's what makes them really risky and upset. It's going to happen. As for Missouri and Drake, this one's a close one as well. I went with Missouri because they're shooting. Their offense is terrific. And then over here, the big one, High Point over Purdue. Purdue has just not been a great team this season. I know they don't have Zach Edey, but they started the season pretty solid, and it's been really wishy-washy. But High Point's offense is going to prove to be a lot to get them over the top over Purdue. But anyway, Dwayne Nation, those are my final official March Madness predictions. Put them to good use, and let's make some money. Let's be perfect for as long as we can. But thank you guys for listening. And like my brother Genoa always says, thank you and peace.